Today on Open Minds UFO Report, a witness in Washington photographed a sphere UFO. Another witness says a Triangle UFO emitted sounds of horns and trumpets. And a $10,000 reward is being offered to decipher a Roswell UFO memo. Your Open Minds UFO Report starts now. Welcome to the Open Minds UFO Report. My name is Alejandro Rojas. A witness in Port Angeles, Washington, reported watching and photographing a sphere-shaped UFO that appeared to emerge from a cloud formation, hovered, and then moved back into the cloud, according to a report sent to the Mutual UFO Network known as MUFON. The reporting witness was outside on the beach with a girlfriend when the object was first seen on June 4th, 2016. We observed a dark UFO emerge from a cloud over the harbor, the witness stated. We had been commenting on the oddness of the long, thin, spirally dense cloud on a clear day. The witness was photographing the cloud when the object emerged. As if on cue, it posed, as it were, for one shot and then retreated back within the cloud. Although the witness says the object moved in and out of the cloud, many have noted that the image looks like a bug. Some have even said they can see wings in motion. Washington field investigator Maureen Morgan is investigating. In another MUFON report, a witness in Davis, California witnessed watching and videotaping a triangle-shaped UFO as it slowly passed overhead. He witnessed the object emitting sounds of horns and trumpets. The witness reported that his dog seemed anxious and he took it outside at 1:43 a.m. on October 2nd, 2012, when the incident occurred. The witness's dog seemed to want to go outside when the UFO incident began. I remember hearing a loud sound of what seemed like horns or trumpets from all around, the witness stated. I remember it being very early in the morning, maybe near 2 a.m., and thinking, why isn't anyone else waking to this sound? The witness continued, I thought about it later and thought maybe my dog had heard the sound and that is why she wanted to go out. So on October 2nd, when my dog did this again, I was much quicker to go outside. Again, I heard the horn's trumpet sound, though this time it seemed a bit muted, almost like I was hearing it in a vacuum, similar to hearing the ocean in a seashell. The witness first reviewed the horizon and saw nothing, then noticed a triangle of lights with random lights moving between each of the triangle points. It was very large, and all I could really see were the lights and definitive darker, more shadowed area within the confines of the lights on the corners, the witness explained. The object continued to move away in a southern direction and reached a point on the horizon where it seemed to remain still or in a relatively central location for a few minutes. I was able to get 31 seconds of video with my cell phone, and then the battery died. The video was shot prior to it reaching the location on the horizon where it hovered, and I opted to stay and watch it, as opposed to trying to go in and get a quick charge on my phone to record more video, which is what I did after watching it hover for a few minutes on the horizon. When I returned to try to record more, it was gone. The case was reported to MUFON on November 16, 2012, investigated by Assistant State Director Devlin Rugney and closed as an unknown. Rugney wrote, I believe the video shot of this object shows an unknown craft. With this craft traveling overhead, it gave the witness a clear view of the total light configuration, and the witness felt he was seeing an unusual craft. The sound coming from this unknown craft was unusual in itself and troubled this guy because he couldn't in his mind connect the sound with what he was seeing. His dog must have heard it as well because it was the dog that initially got the witness to take him outside a couple of nights in a row. The dog was frightened while the object was being seen and flying overhead. I'm closing this case out as an unknown aerial vehicle. Some have suggested that the lights in the video are aircraft strobing lights. Strobe lights can be added to an aircraft, and videos found online show similar strobing lights. Rugney argues that the craft was too large and the movement as described by the witness does not fit with a conventional aircraft. Take a look at the video and let us know what you think. Recently, UFO researcher and author Kevin Randle posted news of a $10,000 reward for anyone who can decipher the text of a memo seen in a picture of what is supposedly debris from the Roswell UFO crash site. Some UFO researchers doubt the debris in the photo is actually from the object that crashed outside Roswell in July 1947 and believe the text in the memo proves it. The photograph in question shows General Roger Ramey in his office at Fort Worth Army Airfield, later known as Carswell Air Force Base. He is holding a memo and crouching over debris he claims was from the Roswell crash site and that he was able to identify as a weather balloon. Only hours prior to the photos being taken, the public information officer at Roswell Army Airfield, at the behest of his superior officer, Colonel William Blanchard, sent out a press release claiming that they had discovered debris from a crashed flying saucer. Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer, who was dispatched to inspect and collect the material a day earlier, was ordered to fly himself and the material to Fort Worth. Upon arriving in Fort Worth, he was escorted to Ramey's office, where a photographer and Ramey's chief of staff, Colonel Thomas Dubois, were waiting. On the floor was material that Marcel later said was obviously from a weather balloon. However, according to Marcel, this was not the material he had collected in New Mexico. The three men then had pictures taken with the weather balloon debris. The pictures were then used in an article claiming that a mistake had been made and the flying saucer had actually turned out to be a weather balloon. Marcel says he was ordered to go along with the story, and like a good soldier, he did what he was told, no questions asked. Incidentally, Dubois also later claimed the debris in these photos were part of a cover-up. He said the weather balloon material was set out to trick the public. The weather balloon explanation was accepted by the press and the public. It was not until the 1980s, after witnesses like Marcel came forward, that the incident began to catch the public's attention. Now, most people have heard of the alleged Roswell UFO crash. Due to growing public interest and an inquiry into the matter by New Mexico Congressman Stephen Schiff, the Air Force later admitted that the weather balloon explanation was a cover-up in an exhaustive report debunking the idea that the debris was actually from an extraterrestrial spacecraft. Their conclusion was that it was from a top-secret project called Project Mogul. Mogul's purpose was to send balloons aloft with sensitive listening devices that could detect Russian nuclear tests. They suspected Ramey switched out the debris to maintain the secrecy for the Project Mogul. However, some Roswell UFO researchers believe that Ramey's photo is the U.S. Air Force's Achilles heel in the Roswell cover-up. In the photo of Ramey in his office, a memo can clearly be seen in his hands. Using modern technology to zoom in and enhance the image, in one of the pictures in particular, researchers believe some of the words can be made out. David Rudiak, in particular, has focused on deciphering the text, and he feels he has determined what 80% of the letters are. He said it is clear that there is a reference to a disc, and believes he can also make out a portion of a sentence that reads, "and the victims of the wreck." Rudiak says this proves that a disc-shaped craft was recovered. However, perhaps even more startling, he says it also corroborates the claims that extraterrestrial bodies were recovered from that wreck. In their Roswell report, the U.S. Air Force says they also tried to decipher the text in the memo. They claim the photo was sent to a national-level organization for digitizing and subsequent photo interpretation and analysis. As for the results, they wrote, this organization reported on July 20th, 1994, that even after digitizing, the photos were of insufficient quality to visualize either of the details sought for analysis. Many find those claims to be hard to accept, especially after looking at a magnified version of the memo. It seems that something should be able to be deciphered. While not all researchers agree with Rudiak's interpretation, many UFO researchers do believe there is something there. Apparently, an anonymous donor also feels strongly that there is something important to be discovered in the memo. Randall has spent a lot of time writing about and researching the Roswell UFO crash. He has also posted many blog articles about the research into what is now referred to as the Ramey Memo. In a blog titled Ramey Memo and the $10,000 Reward, posted June 16, 2016, Randall wrote, "A trusted colleague who is not a ufologist but does have an interest in Roswell and UFOs and who has the money has taken this in a slightly different direction. He is offering a $10,000 reward for the first person or group lab that can provide a definite read of the Ramey Memo." Randall continues, to claim the reward, a number of criteria will need to be met, including full reproducibility of the results with methodology of the individual or lab completely explained and transparent so that anyone knowledgeable can replicate. There must be overwhelming agreement that the result is definitive, with most of the text clear enough that there is little or no disagreement on what it says across a broad spectrum of people of all opinions, whether true believer or complete skeptic. Some have complained that the requirements are too difficult to meet and that there is never little or no disagreement among a broad spectrum of people. Randall argues that in the case of a photograph released last summer of an alleged alien from Roswell, the deciphering of a placard in the image was accepted by a broad spectrum. He pointed out that only those with a vested interest in the photo being an alien disagreed. Although the Roswell incident took place nearly 70 years ago, this memo could demonstrate that there is more to be learned about this enduring mystery. No doubt many are still curious about it. Take a look at the images and Rudiak's work and let us know what you think. Maybe you will be the one to figure out what the memo says. That's your Open Minds UFO report for today. You can find these stories and more at openminds.tv. We post fresh UFO news daily. You can also follow us on Twitter at OpenMindsTV, and you can find us on Facebook. You can now view lectures from the International UFO Congress on our Open Minds UFO video portal. For one low price, you gain access to an archive of lectures and other Open Minds production videos. We don't charge for the vast majority of our content, nor do we ask for donations, so this is also a great way for you to support us and make sure we can continue to provide you with UFO updates and events. We have also opened up registration for the 26th Annual International UFO Congress. Speakers will be listed soon, but if you want to get your tickets at a hugely discounted price, order your super early bird tickets now at ufocongress.com. Let us know if you enjoyed today's episode by liking the episode on YouTube and leaving us your comments in the section below. You can also download our podcast, Open Minds UFO Radio, on iTunes or at openminds.tv/radio. Thanks again for joining us today. For OpenMinds.tv, I'm Alejandro Rojas.